Welcome to the Gameweek 5 transfer targets video. In this video we're going to run through some players I think we should bring in, some players that we should be selling, and a few players that I think we should hold on to. A little caveat in this, I don't think it's fully a week for transfers. It's a great time to roll with a bit of a fixture swing, and a lot of people want to jump on Haaland for game week 6. But we will run through this video anyway because everybody is not in the same boat. So let's get into the first section, which is the transfer ins. So let's start off then with Erling Haaland, and for me the number one striker we need to look to be bringing in. It's an interest in this one because I don't think we're quite ready to sell Salah with Everton at home next, and he's the sort of person you're going to need to sell to fund somebody like this. It's unlikely you'll be able to squeeze both of them in your team if you've only already set up from the start of the season with one of these players. But I couldn't go past this video without putting Erling Haaland as the number one transfer in. It's not essential for this week, it isn't, but he can do the damage against Arsenal, and then you have him for 3 great fixtures in Burnley, Brentford and Everton. A lot of people are going to be wanting to bring him in, so if you have the money to do it, why not go a week early if you've got one of the struggling strikers that maybe I mentioned in this video. But like I say, I think your transfer budget will be a huge factor in that one. In terms of other strikers, it was kind of difficult. João Pedro I really like, but I feel like a lot of us already have him very highly owned, so I thought I'd put in a differential with this one and go with Voltemade, who scored on his debut for Newcastle and was very impressive. And it looks like if Newcastle get balls into the box, he's going to be a difficult man to stop. And I think he can get quite a few goals in the Premier League this season. Also, with Johan Visser out for 4 to 6 weeks, he's going to get pretty good game time, I think, in the next few weeks. And Newcastle's fixtures are mixed, but the one difficult fixture they do have is Arsenal, and that's at home. And they do seem to have their number at St James's Park, so maybe I wouldn't look at that fixture too unfavourably. Midfielders, I really like Xavi Simons, also as a little bit of a differential. He got an assist on his debut, and he looks like he's going to be a nailed starter on that wing, maybe pushing out Brennan Johnson. It's more than likely he's not going to get full 90 minutes. Maybe that will develop as the season goes on. But as a player to bring in to target those fantastic Tottenham fixtures that you can see on screen there, I think he's a really, really good option and somebody we can consider at 7 million going forward. The next one, obviously back with a bang, Cole Palmer. I think he would be on a lot of people's radar. Again, with this one, budget might come into it a little bit. Maybe if you're taking out Salah in a week to get Haaland, that price drop, maybe you could afford it and bring Cole Palmer in with Erling Haaland potentially. But he looked good when he came on against Brentford, and hopefully he's going to be a decent option going forward. Next up, and in the defence, I've got 2 Spurs defenders actually, and I think Spurs, yes, they have overperformed maybe their expected goals and expected goals conceded, but ride the wave while you can is all I can say. I put Van de Ven first because I think he's fantastic value. He has gone up by 0.1, but he's 4.6 now, but still represents great value. Romero slightly better for DEFCON, but it's not as if he's hitting them every game either. I think he's only hit it once this season, so he is slightly better for it, but I still like the 0.4 saving and going for Van de Ven. But we've got 2 defenders there from Spurs, which I both really like. It depends who you fancy going forward. But Tottenham target those fixtures, and you know, Van de Ven at 4.6 million can be a nice little rotation player as well in your team. So players to hold then, and starting off with Ollie Watkins. Now I had him in my holds last week. It backfired against Everton, but it's even more of a hold this week for me, Ollie Watkins, because Everton away, yes, that was a difficult fixture, but now he has Sunderland away, Fulham at home and Burnley at home. So the 3 fixtures that you think If Villa are finally going to get off the mark, which obviously they eventually will, these are the fixtures that he will more than likely score in. You would certainly think 2 promoted teams in the next 3. It's a scary prospect to get rid of him, I know. But now at 8.8 million, it is hard to see reasons why you're going to keep that sort of money locked up when you can easily switch to somebody like a Victor Gyökeres, for example, at 9 million. But I can make a case, and I think a lot of people can make a case for holding him because of those fixtures, and just holding that faith, especially in a week where a lot of people are going to roll transfers, so they have more for this fixture swing coming in game week 6. Similarly with Chris Wood, really, a couple of blanks in a row now. Forest aren't looking the team that a lot of people would have hoped, and maybe the turmoil with the sacking of Nuno has added to that. But once again, 2 great fixtures he's got coming up. 2 promoted sides in the next 2 games with Burnley and Sunderland. So if you're considering getting rid of Chris Wood, maybe now is not the time. Maybe give him the next 2 games, I think. In those fixtures, Chris Wood can score without a shadow of a doubt. So give him those fixtures and then see where we lie after those 2. Next up then in the midfield, we have Mohamed Kudus. There's a similar theme. I think I've got Tottenham in every section. There's been a lot of change around at Tottenham with new signings, and probably surprising how good their performance has been as well. So there's a few players that fit into a lot of categories here. Mohamed Kudus, a lot of people are transferring him out. He's a heavily transferred out midfielder, which is surprising to me, again, considering the fixtures. We have to be giving him certainly the next few games. His returns probably aren't what people would have hoped. Maybe that's why he has been transferred out a little bit. They were expecting a little bit more from him, but it was something I mentioned going into the season. I think a lot of us know how bad a season he had for West Ham last year, and you had to take that into account. He's had a decent start in a decent Tottenham side that started really well, and maybe he should have got more returns, but he is a guaranteed starter at the moment, and while he's a guaranteed starter, I still think he is a decent option, and not maybe somebody to monitor, but not somebody you should immediately look to get rid of. And then the last one in the midfield section is Tierney Reinders. He has a tough fixture away at Arsenal next, but after that you've got 3 fantastic fixtures, and it's the sort of fixtures that you're going to want 2, maybe 3 Man City players for, with Burnley at home, Brentford away, and Everton at home. So if you manage to get or already have Erling Haaland, and then you can have Reinders to complement him over those next games, maybe you look to bench Reinders against Arsenal, depending on how your team looks. So hold him through that game, and then you've got him for 3 great fixtures. I think he's a must keep, and I think people just jumped on the hype train with him and then are quick to jump off. Just give him the next 4 games. I think he will repay the faith. Next up, Marc Cucurella. This is one I own, and I was heavily disappointed that he was dropped to the bench, probably in preparation for Champions League midweek and giving him a little bit of a rest. But I don't imagine this is going to be a common thing with Marc Cucurella. He was brought on at half-time. Chelsea weren't impressive without him. Maybe they'll learn their lesson going forward. Rotation, I think, is needed at times, especially when you're juggling the European fixtures. But going forward, they may learn from it, and hopefully he will start those games when there are Champions League games in the week after. So I wouldn't worry about him too much going forward. But he's certainly one to monitor, especially when he will likely be your most expensive defender. To have that money tied up into somebody that may get benched every now and then isn't great when they're juggling European football. Then finally, we've got Milenkovic at Nottingham Forest. Quite simply, like Chris Wood, because of the fixtures. They've got 2 great fixtures and 2 two fixtures you'd really want a Forest defender for. They have been poor in defence this season against what a lot of people thought would happen. 5.5 million is a lot to have it tied in a defender that isn't keeping clean sheets. And really not even offering much in terms of goals or attacking threat from corners. But you've got to fancy a clean sheet in one of the next two. And if you've held him this long, because more than likely you haven't brought Milenkovic in, you've had him from the start. If you've held on to him this long, give him the next two fixtures, as they are two newly promoted sides. Right, the sells, and Richarlison tops this list. Surprise, surprise, another Tottenham player. It's a difficult one. He was benched last week, and that could be a theme going forward. I don't expect it to be the same every week, but with the likes of also Kolo Muani coming in, eventually Solanke will come back from injury as well. He's not going to be a 90-minute man, and then you're going to have that huge risk of rotation. Some days he'll start, some games he won't, and that's going to be too much of a frustration and a risk and a headache for you going forward. So I would really consider selling Richarlison this week. And then second is Benjamin Sesko, a player if you are unlucky to own him, I would just jump off him now. He's just been a huge disappointment in terms of starts. Now he has started. It was a tough game against Manchester City. It was always going to be. Maybe he'll start some of the easier games and maybe he can start to get off the mark. But until we can see that promise, he's not somebody we want in our FPL teams. So certainly for me, certainly with 7.4 million tied up in him, and you could, for not much more, you could jump to somebody like a João Pedro if you haven't got him. For me, that's a no-brainer. Those two are pretty non-negotiable sells for me. And then Brennan Johnson, again, Tottenham, but it's the rotation with him. Now with Xavi Simons, like I said, coming in, Johnson is a huge minutes risk. He didn't start at the weekend. And once again, his minutes will be significantly reduced and he will be a headache going forward. Again, you'll find games where he does start, but you cannot guarantee those minutes, and that's what's going to be difficult to justify 7.1 million for a player that's probably not starting most weeks now. It's a shame because he is a good player, and when he starts games, he becomes a half-decent FPL option, but not with the new signings that Tottenham have made. Then I think it's finally time to jump off of Florian Wirtz for me. It's just another. I thought the Burnley game may have been the one where he finally gets off the mark. His expected goals and assists, they're not the worst. Maybe he's been a little bit unlucky in certain games not to come away with something, but it's likely his price is going to go down this week to 8.3, and you can't justify having that sort of money tied up in an asset that just isn't performed and hasn't returned yet all season. So I think it's about time and I understand it's time to jump off him. And might I add as well, an Everton fixture up next, which could be really, really feisty. You know, it's a derby, and I'm not sure if that's the sort of game that would suit Florian Wirtz, these tight affairs. We've seen a few tight affairs with Liverpool already this season, and he has struggled to really stamp any authority and get on the ball. So for me, yeah, I can justify selling him now. Then finally, Aït-Nouri, obviously the injury with that one. In and out. 1 week he's injured, 1 week he's supposed to be injured and he plays. Now he's injured again after playing, and it's hard to keep up with him. And his prices fluctuate quite a lot this season already. He went up to 6.1 and now he's already back down to 5.9. There's just too much inconsistency there. So maybe with the fixtures coming up, you want to jump to somebody like a Gvardiol, or maybe you just go to one of the defenders that I said you could buy from Tottenham and save a little bit of coin there, really. Finally, the other sell is Aaron Wan-Bissaka. That West Ham defence it's just leaking goals for fun, isn't it? It's just conceding week in, week out. It feels like there's no hope for it. It feels like the West Ham themselves are going sort of one way, and that's down. Sort of get rid of all your West Ham assets, I would say. I thought there was a sort of spark of a comeback with that win against Nottingham Forest, but it just wasn't the case at all. I think this goes for the same for Juve as well. I would get rid of him potentially. Obviously, if Juve, at least Juve is playing, Wan-Bissaka isn't. Juve could sit on your bench for now until you potentially wildcard or something. But if you have Aaron Wan-Bissaka and he's getting no minutes or very little minutes, he's certainly a sell for me. So thank you for watching. I hope those tips helped you a little bit and inspired you going into game week 5, and helped you make your decision. It could be a very difficult decision this week, whether you roll or make that transfer, depending on what you're doing with Haaland come game week 6. So if you did like it, please hit the like button, and please consider subscribing. It would really help the channel. I really want to grow it, and the more subscribers, the more time and effort it allows me to put into the videos, and I can make them better for you guys. So for now, it's going to be, the next video is going to be my team selection. Hopefully that will be coming in Thursday. That's my plan. Yeah, so I will see you in that video, and appreciate you for watching.